Hey guys, so I posted a video which we recorded on Saturday with Tony and Gary, where we went through their individual approaches for creating courses on Chessable, and it really inspired me to have a go for myself. So I spent a lot of yesterday working through the process on Chessable, and in fact I've created a few courses for myself based on my previous notes. But what I thought I would do today is go through a kind of start to end process of even finding a completely new opening, doing the research on the theory, some research on the theory, and then creating your own move trainer, i.e. course, on Chessable. So I've got a brand new window here. I'm going to go completely from scratch. And we're going to start with Lichess. So if you saw my kind of 2000 spicy repertoire video with Craig that we did recently, then he and I have a similar approach to selecting openings, at least when you're on your way up to the master level, which is to look for lines that are unusual, kind of marginal, edge cases, and yet that perform pretty well. So I think the best place to look for that is the Lichess Explorer, because what that allows you to do is to filter the average rating of games. So for me, I'm around 1550 now, so I'm looking to take out 1600 level players, but also maybe looking forward towards 1800. So I'll set it to that, and I'll just have it set to rapid, for example, and we will have a look. Okay, so if I flip the board here, and I'm looking for a spicy response to e4. Okay, so I've played the French a lot in the past. I used to play the Scandinavian a lot, and the Scandinavian is interesting because it kind of grabs the initiative of the opening from white. If we look on here, so we're looking for responses to 1e4 that do pretty well for black. Okay, so we've got e5 at 44%, but e5 you'll run into a lot of different variations. Okay, so obviously Italian, Spanish, all those kinds of things, Scotch, c5 does better, the Sicilian, slightly better for black with 49% here. e6, the French, 48. d5, the Scandinavian, not quite so good, that's slightly better for white as well, like e5. So then scrolling down, we have one here that has a 50 to 45% split in black's favour, and that is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th most common response, and it is knight to f6, and this is the Alekhine Defence, and it's something that I've never really played in the past, and it looks kind of kooky, it looks weird, because you are inviting white to push e5 on the second move with tempo, forcing your knight to move, right? However, it does score well. So knight f6 here, like we say, slightly better for black at the 1600 to 1800 level, but what about above 1800? So if we look at 2000 up to 2500, and go back one move, c5, Sicilian, slightly better for black, e5. So here you can see the Sicilian then overtakes e5 as the most popular response. Scrolling down, you've got knight f6 now, and it's not the 10th most common response, it's now the 7th most common response, and it does even better, with 51% for black against 42% for white. And the stronger you get, the more draws you tend to find as well. Knight to c6, also does quite well. But I'm very much drawn to this knight f6 move because I think, the two main things are it scores well and it's unusual. So at my level, as the 10th most common response, then I can expect my opponents to have relatively little experience in that. So let's just check on my history now in using the chess.com Explorer. So when I've played white, okay, and I play e4, which I've played a bunch of times, again here you can see knight f6 down here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th most common again. I've only faced it 59 times in total, right? And I have a 53% win rate against 47, okay? If we filter it down to rapid now, then I do better with 65-35, all right? But then I win quite a lot of rapid games, and partly because I've played a lot of rapid games against lower rated opponents, okay, for the channel. So, from this, I mean, this doesn't look particularly healthy for black, but then, we're talking about the 1000 up to 1500 kind of range. But what this is telling me is that if you are proficient in the Alekhine Defence, then it should be quite a weapon, right? And it'll certainly wrong foot white, which is the whole point. So, how do we go about building a repertoire for the Alekhine's Defence? Okay, so the way that I would start is simply to go to the analysis board. Now, there's a lot of tools that you can use for sure. I mean, in the past I've talked about doing training games against bots, which maybe is not the most realistic because bots will play moves that humans don't play. We want to be preparing to meet the responses that humans play according to human psychology, not bot logic. All right, so I'm thinking maybe the bots, you could use it for practice, but it's not the ideal thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to flip the board around, and we are going to pretend that we are black, okay, and white has played 1e4, and we are going to respond with this. Now, we've got the analysis bar here, and it's already saying that white is a little better, which is absolutely fine, and it's giving the most recommended moves. So white's best move here according to the computer, and if you wish, you can go to the Explorer just to check what humans play, because humans don't always play the line that the engine recommends. So if I go to my games as white, and I play this, and my opponents play that, I've played e5 31 times, and I've played knight to c3 28 times. Obviously, I can't go on what a lot of other people play from here, as though I was playing the Alekhine, because I've never played the Alekhines. Right. Another thing that you can do, of course, is you can go back to the analysis board here, set it to the rating that you want, say 1600. And see what is actually played in real life. So here this is saying that e5 is played by white 53,000 times. Knight to c3 is the second most common. So those are probably the main two lines that we need to look at. So I'll go back to the analysis board, and we'll start with pawn to e5. All right, so it's already saying that white is around +1, according to engine logic. And you've really got two moves here. You've got knight to d5, or you've got the weird knight back to g8. So the idea of the Alekhine Defence is you are prompting white to overextend himself in the middle. And it's also a hyper-modern defence because you are not contesting the middle with pawns from the off. What you're saying to white is, come on then, throw pawns up the board, and then I'm going to compete tactically and try and expose, the weaknesses in this. So the most common move here is knight to d5, right? As we've seen from here. So if I play e5, my opponents have played knight to d5 26 times. So I'm jumping between a couple of things here. So knight to d5 has been played almost exclusively. Right? Only 5 other games that have not been that against 26 that have played e5. So e5 is going to be my priority. So against d5, it's saying that d4 is the most common. Well, d4 is the engine line, okay? My opponents here, okay, so knight d5. So again, I'm jumping between the explorer and the analysis board and so on, okay? And then d4, by far the most common by white, okay? So I'm going to play that on the explorer. I'm going to go back to my analysis board, which is the other way around, and I'm going to play d4, which is also the engine move. Okay, so far so good. And you can see that what we've got here is it's building up a line, right? So now, d6 is the engine move, okay? Go back to here, what is normally played against me? Yes, d6 about 2/3 of the time. Okay, so we'll go d6. So this is like this is going to be my main line to practice. And now c4 is the engine line, back to the explorer, after d6, c4, and then also f4 is an idea, okay? But c4 makes a lot of sense because it hits the knight, so it comes with tempo. So the knight can't go there, he can't go there because of the bishop, so he's really only got 2 moves, okay? And so knight b4 has been played, but knight to b6, let's just check the engine. Yeah, knight to b6 is the engine's recommendation. And hang on. So where am I up to? Okay, after c4, so I've got to play c4 now, okay, and then knight to b6. And now it's still around +1 for white. However, this is just kind of, we're getting into the flow. So f4 now grabbing even more space. So this is the 4 pawns attack in the Alekhine. Okay, so that's what the computer says. Throw more pawns up the board. Our survey says after knight b6, knight f3. But here I'm already just down to 4 games that have reached this point. Okay, so knight to f3, f4 are both ideas. And now really the opening explorer can't help me too much, but I've got an idea, at least to this depth. I may go back then and build other lines. So let's go f4. So this is the 4 pawns attack, and now it's saying you capture on d5, and then f takes e5, f takes e5, and what we're doing is we're looking to try and get to a point where we have some slight advantage for black. Okay. Now the idea here is that you don't want to create a course that's 20 moves deep, because you're never going to remember, as a beginner or improving player, you're never going to remember all that theory. Okay, so that's not the point. The point is to drill these openings to a degree where you are in the game and it's time to start playing chess. Okay, so here we're on move 6 already. So, for example, bishop f5 is an idea. Knight to c6 is an idea. Okay. So another thing that we can do as well is we can go back to Lee chess to see, well, what have other people played at that point? So let's say e5, knight here, d4 we saw. Now we play d6, okay, and then let's say c4, right? c4, knight to b6, overwhelmingly played by black, okay? So, and these are 1600 kind of players, So let's go with that. Weird thing is that you've moved your knight now once, twice, 3 times, and the knight is a long way from your opponent's king. But that's not the point of the opening, right? The point is we are surprising white, we're getting him out of his comfort zone and all that kind of stuff. So here, f4 is played, it's played quite often, or e takes d6 is played quite often, also knight to f3, okay? So now we're mixing in a bunch of sources here to try and get a feel for what real people actually play. So here we're going for the 4 pawns attack, and here it's saying d takes e5. Okay, so let me go back to my analysis board. Okay, d takes e5 we've played, and now f takes e5. Yeah, completely all the time, right? So that's all you need to go off, right? F takes e5, and now the computer says knight to c6 does best for black at this point. So that's the one I'm going to use. So I go back to my analysis board. I'm building up my repertoire here, okay, in preparation for making a course and a move trainer out of it. So we're going to go with that. So let's go back to Lichess. Okay, knight to f3 is now the most common, but now black is winning 56% of the time. Okay, so we're getting there. Then bishop g4, right, to pin the knight. So we'll come back here. We'll say knight to there, bishop g4, pinning the knight against the queen. And now it's starting to show, right? If the best move for white now is c5, okay, but hang on, okay, c5 to hit the knight here, but that leaves white with only a very, very marginal lead. In fact, less of a lead than white started the game with, even though white has this monster center. All right, so this is fascinating for me. Plus, the other thing I like about this idea is that we've got a completely asymmetrical game. So it's going to be fun, right? It's going to be imbalanced, right, with attacking opportunities. So it's going to get sharp. Okay, so the best move here for white is c5. Is that much played? No, actually, it's the 4th most played according to Lichess. Okay, so this is really, you should be working on what humans play rather than what the machine plays. In addition, you can turn on Stockfish in Lichess, right? And you don't even have to be logged in. This is all free. Okay, so according to the engine, bishop e3 is the best line here, right, according to that. But bishop e3, excuse me, so bishop e3 is also the most played move. But we've already, no, we haven't chosen c5. So the most played move, c5 is down at 4. So let's go bishop e3. Okay, and on here, we'll play bishop e3. And again, white has to be careful now in order to keep any edge at all, right? So if we now play bishop takes f3, that is the engine's choice, and the people's choice is e6 is played quite a lot, and bishop takes f3 is played quite a lot. They both score well, right? So let's play e6 here, okay? And now Stockfish is saying it's bang equal. Okay, after this many moves, bang equal, but that's 8 moves, right? And I think that's kind of enough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to rewind. Okay, so let's come back all the way to here, right? And with, let's say, we'll go, so rather than e5, because knight c3 is also played quite a lot, so we're going to show now how different lines will work. Okay, the computer says d5 and e5 are both good moves here. Interestingly now, this is actually the Vienna game. Right, this isn't the Alekhine Defence anymore. It's kind of a Vienna game. If I played e5, we would be in a Vienna, and then I'd be open to the Vienna Gambit, and so on, right? The question then is white a Vienna player? We don't know. But having played the knight out here, maybe they are, okay? Anyway, so the most common move by black here is actually d5, okay? And it also scores well, so I'm going to avoid the Vienna lines, okay? And I'm going to play d5. So again, we'll go back here. So if the knight comes out, we're now going to play d5 and avoid all that Vienna nonsense. And you can see here that it's got the same first three moves, and this is the previous continuation that we had, and now it's got an alternative branch, right? This is a new line. Okay, so what do humans do in this situation? There's two moves. e5 is one, and e takes d5 is one. So let's start with e5, play it on here as well, okay? And with e5, we play the knight back here. And now we're in slightly more French territory. This is interesting, but still wins 59% for for black. Now, the computer says the best move is to grab the free pawn, right? But what do humans play? Knight f3 is quite common, and d4 is quite common. Knight takes d5, not so common, because also, remember, this pawn is also hanging. Okay, so let's go with d4. Makes sense, you know, people understand their principles, control the center, so on and so on. And then we play e6. Okay, and now we are in a kind of a French defense. So if you're familiar with that, then you know how to play on from here. So that's one idea, and let's just add one more idea. Okay, because here, so yeah, we've got knight f to d7 is one idea, but another idea for black here, because we've got 2498 for knight d7, but we've also got 2000 games here for knight d4. However, I think we're going to stick with knight to d7 because it scores higher for black. It's 59% against 52. So we're going to go with this, okay? And now d4 is the most common, but let's say they play knight f3. That's also very, very natural. And then again here, we play e6. So let's add that to our analysis board, okay? So we are going to go hang on. Let's just rewind. So here we've gone there, knight here, d4. Hang on. We've got a different line here, haven't we? So knight to d5, then d4, or is this... Okay. Let's see, I've got lost now. Yeah, common move. Anyway. Let's check. Okay, we've played, this is the, okay, so it's knight c3 on the second move instead of that. Okay. So instead of the advanced, knight c3. Right, so this is now a new line. And then d5, then e5. Right, d5 here. Knight c3, d5 by black. Okay, so we're avoiding the Vienna stuff. Then they push. Okay, and so we've got these two options. Yeah, knight d7 is the one we're going for. Now d4 is the most common, but what about knight f3? Okay, so we push here, then they play knight f3. Okay. So now this knight is looking at this pawn, but it is defended by the queen. And now, let's go back. Humans play e6. Oh, hang on, I've got a different move order again now. No, humans play e6. So let me track again. c3, d5, e5, knight f to d7. Okay. d5, e5, knight f to d7. Okay, so getting confused. Knight c3, d5, e5. No, we're not playing d4. Or are we playing d4? Okay, let's say we play d4 here, and they're playing knight to f3. Okay, so we want that situation. Okay, they've played. No, but my knight's still here. Okay, so here. e4, knight f6, e5. e4, knight f6, e5. All right, and then no, it's not e5. It's knight c3. Okay. Knight to f6. Here, knight c3. All right. And now our line is d5, e5, d4. Okay. So d5, e5. Knight f to d7 here, those still scores better. So yeah, I think we're going to go knight f to d7 here, okay, which is definitely challenging. So here, if I decide that I don't like this line, I can just, delete the variation, right? So now let's go again. Okay, so bearing with me here. So we've got knight c3, d5, e5. Okay, so here instead of pushing, knight c3, d5, very challenging. Lots of tension here. Then they push, all right? And then we are going to retreat the knight, or are we? No, we're going to go for this idea. Hang on, no, because knight f to d7 scores better. So we're going knight f to d7. Knight f to d7 here. Okay, so back to that situation. Okay, now, so we've got our extra line here. Okay, and now the most common is d4. So we're going to add d4. And here it's hovering, the lowest for, and then we're going to play e6, right? And then if we play e6, humans play knight to f3 mainly, all right? So if knight to f3, then c5, and now we're in French territory, so pretty comfortable there, okay? So I can go here, and now from c5, I can, for example, put a comment to say, like the French transposition. And you can do that very easily in the chess.com Explorer. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take what we've built so far and we're going to import it into Chessable. So here it gives me the PGN. So I just click in there, copy. Now I'm going to open a new tab and load up Chessable. Okay, so I'm logged into Chessable. Now I'm on the pro level, so you can see here I've already set up the Budapest Gambit, the anti-Scandi Leonhardt Gambit, the monkey's bum, which is interesting, and the England Gambit. So I've already created some courses for this. So I'm going to go to Tools, Create a Course, and we'll ignore that. Alekhine's Defence, and it's for black, so I just create Submit, and it's creating a new course. Now what I'm going to do is click Import from a PGN, switch to Copy and Paste instead of Upload, and I'm going to paste this in. Okay, select a course, Alekhine's Defence, default chapter, and that's fine. Import, that's all I need to do. Okay, now it says check it. Okay, let's check it. And now you can see it's got two lines here, right? And Chessable does have its clunkiness, but the benefit of having the move trainer just outweighs all of that. So what I've been doing here, because I need to name these variations. Currently it's got question mark versus question mark because my PGN file here said that white was unknown and black was unknown because there were no players. Okay, so that's what it's defaulting to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to command click both of these to open them up in new tabs. Okay, then on each one I'm going to go edit variation. Okay, because that allows me to do various things, which we'll see. So here's the first one. Let's flip the board. Okay, and the variation goes like this. Okay, so this is Alekhine's, and this is the knight c3 line. Okay, so now I can scroll down and go to knight c3, right? That seems fine. And then, so after this, I mean, this is already very kind of sharp and interesting, okay? So, you know, creates tension. That's my comment after there, and that will appear later. Now the pawn pushes, and we play the knight back here. And then the pawn pushes, and we play that. And then the knight comes out, and then here, and you can see here, it's picked up the comment that I made on the chess.com analysis board, but it's added a couple of brackets. I'm just going to remove those. French transposition play on. Okay, and it's got my variation here. So I think that is now the end of the line for this. So I just click update variation, update, right? And it's done. So I can close that tab now. Now let's move over to this one. Let's flip the board again. It should really show you from black's perspective, seeing as it's an opening course for black. Okay, Alekhine's Defence, advanced variation. Okay, knight to here, grab the center, you know, let's say white grabs center control, which is principled, and I can just keep adding notes and comments. Now you can add comments before the move as well. So what does d6 do here? Not altogether sure. Okay, so this is now c4, and this is the 4 pawns attack. Okay, so we might call this 4 pawns attack. Okay, and then from here we take very natural, knight to c6, knight out here, you know, pin the knight, bishop out, and that's the end of the line for that. So no real comments to make here. And that's, you can also add annotations to moves. So if it's questionable, you know, so dubious move is what chess.com calls an inaccuracy. And you've got blunders and all that kind of stuff. And then that's all we need to do. So I just click update variation, update, and that's done. So I'm going to close that tab and now refresh my course. So here we've already got the knight c3 line. I don't know if it's got a name. Let's have a look. Knight c3, no, it just says 2 knight c3. Okay, so it's the knight c3 line. Fine. Now what we can do is I can go learn the moves already. So there, and now, so what it's doing is it's showing me the moves to play in each situation. Okay, and if knight out there, I click next. And this seems really kind of mundane. Pawn down there and this, but then it's going to have me practice. Okay, so I just need to follow what it's showing me. All right. And then to here. And now we've done with the show and tell. Now I need to show what I've learned. Okay, and we're going to attack here. And I'm going to bring my knight back. and he does this, I'm going to play d6, knight comes out, and I'm playing c5. And it says, show me again. That's fine. And this is how we do it. And it's this drilling. You do this over and over until it becomes second nature. And now it's finished. Okay, so I've done that one. And now it says I've studied this as black. You can do overstudy, which is do it again, basically. Now, how about the 4 pawns attack? Let's have a look at that. Okay, so this is very standard. And d6 is the move. Okay, there, d6. Yep, I remember this pattern. Knight comes back there. Yep. Play this out, and then we exchange off in the middle, and then my knight's going to come out. Yeah. And then we pin. There we go. Let's come to here. They play that. We play d6, challenging this pawn. There I have to retreat the knight. And there we trade off. And here I bring out my other knight, and then we pin that knight. And that's all I'm going to remember for this. Okay, it's one more try. d6, there retreat, there come out. Oh no, see? Okay, so now I've made an error. So it's going to remember that. So after the trade, then I bring out my knight, and then I pin this. Okay, and now it's going to say, right, come back. Come back to where you messed up and show me again. Okay, just that move. And it's having me do it 3 times to show that I've remembered. And now it says I've done the course. Okay, now that's really all you need to know. So like we said on the previous Chessable discussion, if you're on the free account in Chessable, you can create, or you can access 5 courses. I think you can create 3 of your own or something like that. If you upgrade, you can create as many courses as you want. You can share them with more people. But this is all you really need to do, right? So if I go now to, courses created by me, for example, we'll go to like the England Gambit, so you can come in and train. So I'm going to go review, because I've already trained it. And now let's go England Gambit accepted, and it's got 4 lines here, okay? So I'll just do review all. And let's see if I can remember how to play the England Gambit. So here, I think we take the pawn and simple, okay? If they take, so this is the main line queen sack. Okay, England Gambit, we attack the pawn, and then I want to attack the pawn again. So I think it's this, isn't it? Yeah. Now he's got 2 defenders, 2 attackers, but now I come out here with a fork on that, and the bishop that was there. And now we capture here. Now this is a very, very spicy line. Okay, I come down there with the bishop. He attacks my queen, and I take his knight, sacrificing the queen for a minor piece and, okay, and a rook. And this is a line that Craig recommended. Now this is now an alternative. It's moved straight on because I've got auto next, right? Auto next line or lesson. Main line bishop blunder. And this is important. I need to remember this move. Okay? And then if the queen takes, checkmate. Okay? And this is the oh no my knight variation. Okay? Which I've seen Eric Rosen use in like Bullet. You play d6, and then you go, oh no, my knight, right? And now, what's the move? Bishop takes f2, deflects the king away, and you win the queen, all right? And now you come back here. And that's all I need to know, okay? So if you go in and do this every day with the first, so here are like 7 moves deep, because that's all you need to remember for this line, okay? You come here and you train these openings on a daily basis or on a regular basis, you will find yourself in situations where you have a significant advantage on the majority of opponents at your level, hands down. So I think this is an absolutely brilliant tool, and it's not too difficult to to work, really. So if one other thing to show you as well is that, of course, you can have multiple chapters. So here in the Scandinavian, okay, so I've got only one level here. So I've got one chapter in the Scandinavian, for example. In the Budapest Gambit, let's browse that. Okay, so I've got Budapest Gambit accepted, and I've got Budapest Gambit declined, and these are chapters. So you can have multiple lines or lessons within different chapters, and you can have multiple chapters, right? So it's just down to you how you want to organize it. But that's it, guys. So that is a couple of things in this video. One is a method for discovering new and interesting approaches using the Lichess Explorer. Now, one downside of that is that it only starts at average 1600 up to 2500. So, sub 1000 or 1000 to 1600, it's not as useful. And maybe in those cases, you can go to the chess.com Opening Explorer, look at your own games, look at what people really play against you at that level, or have played against you in your career on chess.com so far. But bottom line, we've got a bunch of great tools out there, many of which are completely free to use. So let's use them. But quite honestly, if you want to improve at your opening play, this Chessable move trainer really is absolutely mint. Okay, but like we said on the previous video, buying Chessable courses by IMs and GMs that can actually be a bit of a waste of money, because what they'll be training you to play against 2000 plus players, right? Now, if you're rated 1000, then your opponents aren't going to be playing the most accurate moves most of the time like a 2000 will. So you need to be building up your repertoire to know how to handle what people play, real people play at your kind of level and the level that you want to be moving up to next. So yeah, that's my tips. That's as far as I got with building a Chessable course when I was flying solo yesterday. Hope that's been useful for you, building on the previous video. Go ahead and do it for yourself. You don't have to spend a single penny to do anything that I've just shown you today. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.